And let's do Rangers and Celtic. Rangers crushing blow to Kilmarnock on the weekend. Just Kilmarnock's second win of the season in the Scottish Premier League. How close does this put Philippe Clement to being sacked?
Well, I've been saying all along for the last few weeks that they shouldn't be sacking Clement. Of all the things that they've got to change, it isn't the manager right now. However, when you lose 1-0 to Kilmarnock, that's a big one for the Rangers fans to take. I know the Rangers phone-ins and all the rest of the chat boards were on fire at the weekend, all asking for Clement to go. It's a natural reaction when they see that sort of result. But I'm afraid Rangers fans have got to take a big, hard look at themselves in the mirror and realise that the club is not, where they should be in terms of recruitment, operations, etc. There's still some key positions that have got to be filled. The problems are at the board level, without shadow of a doubt. They've got to get that sorted out financially as well. This is a club, as I've said, that is in the need of a rebuild, a reset, and they've got to take that on right now. And I think they've got to stick with some bad results. And I think Clement may be gone purely by the huge anger of the fans, but he may be gone by Christmas. I would advise them not to sack him, but I think he may be gone before Christmas purely because of the fan pressure. And the fans, as I say, have got to look at themselves and realise that Rangers are not the power they once were, and they've got to accept a period of change, which so far they've not been prepared to accept.
And what effect does Aberdeen getting a result against Celtic have on Clement's chances of getting sacked? Because that's obviously been the biggest issue, is Clement's inability to get a result against Celtic through his first 6 matches against them.
Yeah, look, that seems to be the measure. That was always the case. How do you get on in the Old Firm games? And he hasn't had great luck with that. But this is also coinciding with a time when Celtic have been getting it right off the pitch financially and have been able to put together some good squads. The Aberdeen result at Celtic was incredible. They almost pulled it off 3-2 at the end with a goal chalked off with VAR right at the end. That would have been quite spectacular. But nevertheless, 2-2 away at Celtic was a great result, and it leaves them 6 points ahead of Rangers right now, which is quite a gap, or even this early in the season. So it does seem to be that another club is entering the race, but again, probably a little bit early to choose to say that, and that we'll have to wait and see. But I think it puts the pressure certainly on Rangers now, and there's an Aberdeen game coming up very soon with Rangers. If they lose that one, then I think there will be some real fan pressure. And the board, I would imagine, being the chairman of Rangers and being on the board of Rangers right now, living in Glasgow would be almost unbearable. The pressure from the fans is incredible. I've experienced what it's like to fall foul of Rangers fans before, in my old days at Aberdeen. And it's a fearsome situation, but I would think they'll turn on their own more than anybody at the moment. And there's got to be some clear leadership, and that seems to be lacking at the top right now. Nobody's been coming out to say, look, this is how we're going about it, this is what we're going to do. Everybody seems to be just keeping undercover, and hopefully something's going on behind the scenes, but every week things are starting to get worse.
And you mentioned it is early in the season, but right now, Rangers would not be qualifying for Champions League or Europa League next year. What kind of financial blow would that be to Rangers, losing out to Aberdeen in those two spaces?
That would be big. Rangers almost count on it, and I think even the debts they have right now would be contingent on that sort of qualification, and they borrowed ahead against that sort of money, is my suggestion, without looking at the actual balance sheet. So yes, that would be a mortal blow for Rangers, particularly with Celtic being financially stable. If Aberdeen are able to come through and get that second spot, then yes, it would be a major blow for Rangers. But this should be against the backdrop of a new investor coming in, I believe, who's going to try and shake up the club and at least get it set for the season after. But we're still early in the season, so a little bit early to make these sort of dark predictions, but they've certainly got some issues building up every week.
You mentioned the potential for a new investor at Rangers. Would they still be close to the 70% UEFA sustainability rule if they do bring in a new investor? Could he potentially have problems actually helping them sign new players if they're not able to sell players in the transfer market, don't get that money from making the Europa League or Champions League? How would that work out?
No, they should be okay. Certainly, I think with Rangers, they'll find a way through that sort of situation just now. They will have to sell some of the squad, but certainly they should be able to buy. But the whole thing about Rangers is that Celtic have been able to buy well. A lot of international players, in particular Japan, we've always noticed they've done very well in. Rangers have got to find those younger talents around Europe as well. That's where their success has got to be, and then trading up and selling them for a big profit. That's where Celtic have been very good. Rangers have not been great on that, and that's what's got to change. They've got to get better data use. They've got to get a better footballing operations people in there. They've got to find that solution. They've got a great base to work from, but it's a dissatisfied base right now, and they've got to do more. But this is all part of the rebuild I'm talking about, is that they've got it all wrong since after Steven Gerrard left. And now they've got to rectify the mistakes and rebuild again for the future. It's a difficult thing to do, but that's the position they've got themselves into.